Okay. So we are looking at 1-3, which is solving equations today. So when we solve equations, we are looking to get to a final answer that logically makes sense. So in order to solve equations, we need to simplify each expression. So in order to be able to simplify each expression, we need to be able to combine like terms. So the first thing we're going to do is combine like terms to get these down to a nice and simplified answer. So if we have 5x minus 9x plus 3, we'll combine like terms. So 5 minus 9 becomes negative 4x plus 3. Two y plus 7x plus y minus 1. Well, 2y and y becomes 3y plus 7x minus 1. And then you have 10h plus 12g minus 8h minus 4g. So what we're going to do is combine the h to the h and the g to the g. So 10 minus 8 is 2, and 12 minus 4 is a positive 8g. So you have 2h plus 8g. In example 4, you have x thirds plus y thirds plus 2y thirds minus y. So we'll combine like terms. So y thirds and 2 thirds becomes x thirds plus y minus y, because 1/3 plus 2/3 is 1. But a positive y and a negative y cancel, and we get x thirds. In example 5, the first thing we need to do is distribute the negative. So you get x plus y minus x plus y. X minus x cancel, y plus y gives 2y. And then in number 6, you have negative 3 plus c minus 4c plus 4. So a negative 4 plus 1 gives negative 3c. A negative 3 plus 4 gives a positive 1. Okay, we have a couple new vocabulary words. Those words are open sentence, equation, and solution. An open sentence is just a fancy way of saying expression. An open sentence is a fancy way of saying expression. An equation must contain an equal sign. An equation must contain an equal sign. And a solution is any value that makes an equation true. A solution is any value that makes an equation true. Okay, and then that leads to properties. So we have a couple properties. The first property is reflexive. So the reflexive property says that if A equals A, they're the same. If A equals B, then B equals A. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. Is transitive. So transitive we see a lot. The addition through division are really the properties we're using when we're solving. It's about balancing our equation. So we use these ones all the time. We just don't realize we're using them. And then substitution is kind of what we've been doing with our problems, plugging in a number for a variable and so forth. Okay, so that kind of leads us into what we're going to look at now, which is simplifying expressions. And in order to simplify and solve for a variable, we have to make sure we balance our scale. So what that means is anything I do on the left, I have to do on the right. So the equal sign kind of acts as what I call a river. So if I do it on the left, I need to also use and do that mathematical operation on the right. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 2x. And if I subtract 2x from the right, I need to subtract 2x from the left. So I get 5x plus 3 equals negative 12. Then I'm going to subtract 3 from the left. So I need to subtract 3 from the right. So I get 5x equals negative 15. In order to get x by itself, I divide both sides by 5. And I get x equals negative 3. This is where it's a really good habit to start to box in your answers. Because a lot of times I might be like, okay, the answer to 1 is this. The answer to 2 is that. 3 is this. And then you can find your answer really quick. And if you need help checking it, then we have all your work above. But you're really just looking for your answer. Okay, number 2. We're going to subtract 5x from both sides. Then you're going to subtract 12. So we get 3z equals negative 33. Divide by 3. And we get c equals negative 11. The first thing we do doesn't always have to be to move the variable. So in number 3, I could add 3 to both sides if I wanted to start. Then move my t's. Then divide. And I get t equals 2. And number 4, the first thing you want to do is distribute After you distribute, now you want to start moving your variables. Then divide. So we get m equals negative 24/7. Yes, you can change this one into a decimal, but like if you have something divided by 8 or divided by 11, like you don't want to put a repeating decimal, you'd rather leave it as a fraction. Okay, number 5. So again, first thing I would do is distribute my 2. Upon distributing the 2, I notice I get a negative 6 and a positive 6. These are called additive inverses because when I add opposites together, I get 0. So then that leaves me with 2y equals 70. Divide both sides by 2, and y equals 35. And then in number 6, I would distribute to start. Put my hand on the bottom of the screen. Add 4t to both sides. Add 12. Divide by 10. And get t equals 3. Okay, in number 7, it's a little trickier. Now we don't have numbers, we're solving for letters. These are called literal equations. These are called literal equations because your answer is a literal answer. It's not a numerical answer. So if I have a fraction, I like to get rid of that to start. So the first thing I would do is multiply both sides by 2 to cancel my fraction. It's not the move I would make, but I think it's the move you would make. Is the next thing you do is distribute your h. I would personally divide by h, but I believe most of you would distribute the h. By distributing the h, the next thing you need to do is subtract HB2 from both sides. And then to get B1 alone, because again, remember our goal is to isolate B1. So we would have to divide by H. The H's don't cancel here. So your final answer is B1 equals 2A minus HB2 all over H. Because you're adding or subtracting it. So it's like moving that HB2 is kind of like when we moved like the 4T or moving the 12. It's a non-like term that we want to get away from what we're trying to solve for. Okay, so do we want to distribute the 2 or divide by 2? Okay. Our goal is to solve for W. So maybe this will help answer that question from the last one. We noticed that this term and this term have W. So that means I want to get rid of the middle term, which is being added because it doesn't have a W. The very, very first week of school, I taught you guys about GCF. So the W in this problem is a GCF. It's in both terms, so we're going to factor it out. And then W's being multiplied by that stuff. So to get rid of multiplication, we do division. So we get W equals A minus 2LH all over 2L plus 2H. I promise there are not that many of these on your homework. We will continue to practice them over the rest of this week. I know literal equations are challenging and new. We will practice and practice and practice, I promise. Okay, the very last thing we need to look at is just applying that vocabulary from the front page where it talks about reflective, symmetric, transitive, etc. So in number 9, it says if 3a minus 4 equals b, so here's 3a minus 4, and here's 3a minus 4. We have a b and a b. And b equals a plus 17. Then 3a minus 4 equals a plus 17. Well, that's kind of like saying if a equals B, and B equals C, then A also equals C, which means that this is transitive. If 2G minus H equals 62 and H equals 24, then 2G minus 24 equals 62. We took H away and replaced it with 24. If you take something away and replace it, you are substituting or using substitution. If negative 11a plus 2 equals negative 3a, then negative 3a equals negative 11a plus 2. Left equals right, then right equals left is symmetric. So for tonight, what I want you to do, and for tomorrow, is to work on those next pages in your packet. So that, I believe, is page, maybe not quite 30. I think you're doing 30 to 40. Yep. So it's page 22. You're doing 30 to 40, then 45 to 50. So again, that's the next page in your packet or in your textbook, 22, 30 to 40, 45 to 50.